on this episode of The Natural Plastic Surgeon.
The way to just do anything good in life is to lead with kindness and love. Even if it's something that you don't agree with, there's no need to be negative and trying to put it down. And
something that was very helpful to me was a therapist finally telling me that cis people don't sit around all day wondering if they're trans. Being surrounded by other wonderful, impressive, inspiring trans women, being here, around among y'all is I don't know, it feels very exciting for the future and very special, and yeah.
It's good to be trans.
It is.
Yeah, so hi everyone, my name is Cole. I'm 29 years old, I'll start there. I began my, I would say, I call it my mental and my physical transition pretty recently in 2020. Before that, I was struggling to realize who I was. And that's something that I battled with for a very long time in my life. I, growing up, had moments where I felt I did not fit in. Some of my best friends growing up were my best girlfriends. Never felt like I was fitting in on the right sports teams. Didn't know why I couldn't have sleepovers with my girlfriends, why I was told I had to go home. Things like that didn't really make sense to me. One of the things now through therapy, because I am an advocate for therapy, one of the things I've actually explored was in freshman year, I asked my mom to create a Halloween costume for me that was half male, half female. So she cut some boy clothes in half and dress in half, sewed them down the middle, and I wore that for Halloween that year. In hindsight, I had no idea what that meant, and at that time, but now looking back on it and through work with my therapist, I can definitely see oh, that's a telltale sign maybe. But growing up, I didn't really have exposure and I didn't know any trans individuals, so I didn't really know how to assimilate or where to put myself or how to identify. But today, very happy in where I am, happy in where this journey's taken me, and just excited to be able to sit here with all of you and share our stories.
Basically the same, the same thing she was saying. I didn't really grow up with a lot of trans representation, but I would always be playing in my mom heels or just purses when she's gone, little stuff like that. So yeah, I just feel it's really big nowadays, for a lot of the younger generation, they have people to look up to. It wasn't when we were younger, 90s, late 90s, it wasn't, you didn't really see too much of trans or anything representation. So it's really, I really like that. I love that actually.
Hi, I'm Sadiq, and I'm from Trinidad and Tobago. I'm 34, and I've always been just I'm a girl from the youngest I can remember. And growing up there, it is illegal to be LGBT and stuff, so I still didn't give a fuck. I would go out, and I started going out at 15, and I started being myself and dressing how I wanted to, and it was pretty crazy. But I knew that I was going to move to America and go to college. So at 19, I moved here, and yeah, I've just been living my life, and I also didn't know what trans was. I didn't know that even existed. I was just I'm a girl, and I was at a party, and someone was like, you can take these pills. The moment that they told me, I was like, yes, that is what I want to do. I was just because someone did tell me about it, but they didn't talk about pills. They talked about doing a bunch of surgeries, and I was at that age, I was I don't really want to do a ton of surgeries, because I was 19. Yeah. And then somebody else told me that they're yeah, you do these pills and you'll get filtered, all your masculine things would just go away. And I'm girl, sign me up. Where is these pills? So yeah, that was my story. I feel I've lived a really good life, and I'm really happy with where I'm at. And we're in Beverly Hills, we're having a great life. So
It's true.
yeah.
My name's Jacqueline. I'm also 34. I don't know. Growing up, I knew I was different, but quantifying what that difference was hard.
Yeah.
So much is you learn to pretend at some point. I played sports. I was raised very strictly Catholic and religious, and so the idea of being, queer was already, I was I've been openly queer much longer than I've been openly trans, and that was already like a journey to get to a place where I felt comfortable doing that. And and then you get older, and I think duality makes such a good point that like there wasn't a lot of like representation and examples of this when we were younger. I joke that like when I was a kid, the most like famous trans person was like Tim Curry and Rocky Horror, and that's not a trans person, and now obviously that's so much better, but like when you can't name what you are, when you can't look out and see like somebody else living and being like, oh, that's the explanation for what this feels, it's so hard. And I think as you get older, and I don't know, you start, at least for me, I had a lot of doubts about like, is it worth doing? It went from being like, I'll do it maybe in the future, and then being like, is it too late to do it now? Like, did I wait too long? And then I think you start, at least for me, I started taking hormones and coming, I came out and then had surgery and all of these things, and it just becomes so clear that it's never too late. And like, as soon as you start living authentically, I describe it as like, have you ever seen those videos online where like someone who's colorblind puts on the glasses and they can see color for the first time, and they like get overwhelmed by like, oh my God, I didn't know that's what blue looked like. Yeah. Like, that's how finally coming out felt to me, was I was like, oh, I thought I knew what being as happy as I could possibly be felt like. But then like once I came out, it's like, oh, I was at like a 6 out of 10. And like there's all of this, and of course the other side of that is like, you can also get sad, like you get a full range of emotions now. Yeah. But it's so rewarding to have access to like your full self in that way. Yeah, I don't know, it's like not always easy, obviously, but like so worthwhile.
I know, I think it's interesting, at least for me at this point, like where I've gotten myself, I have a community of people, and I feel like I live in this bubble here in Beverly Hills in West Hollywood. So I know my sisters, I know everyone. But I can recall the time where like I didn't have any even like buoy to like tie myself to that even like seemed familiar. I think like it sounds so silly, but I always want everyone to know like I'm no different than everyone else. Like I'm literally a human. I bleed, I cut, I bleed, like I cry, I have happy moments. I want kids, like I'm the same as everybody else. And as cliche as that sounds, that's the only point I would love to get across.
No.
That's literally what I was going to say. No. And that we're all different. Like everybody, just like in the world, like everybody is different. They have their own things that they like, what they love.
Yeah. I
think that there is just, every trans person is so different from the other one. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and some are, what is normal? Like, I think the world is just filled with so many different people, and we're exactly a reflection of that. There's no difference. So, yeah.
And I also think that 30% number, that's 30% of people realize they know a trans person. I think there are so many trans people out there. One, who are living stealth because of safety. Two, who don't feel safe coming out. And I think that's something that not so much we on this side, community-wise, but I think we as a culture need to realize that like when you pass laws against like criminalizing people's life, like just existing, when you scaremonger kids, when you do all of these things, you make it unsafe for these people to come out. And so I think there are so many more trans people out there who are living in secret, not even taking the step to come out because they don't feel safe. They don't feel like that's going to be accepted. And to be honest, like, we all are out here living, and I think it's like, it is great in so many ways, but like, it's definitely like not all sunshine and lollipops these days to be trans in America.
Scary.
Like, it's a scary time. And like, I think, it is important for for cis people in our society to like also reckon with their role in that, and reckon with like, is that the society you want to live in? A society that like puts people at risk, that makes people feel unsafe, that like, incites violence against people like us. Like, that's a huge problem. And like, I don't know about y'all, but like, I have been like beaten up on the street, like I've been attacked, like I've like, these are real, thank you, but like that, these things are too common, and it like there's a direct line between like the demonization of a group of people and like real world consequences. And I think we need, you know, again, not we, but we as a society need to like reckon with those things if we want them to change. It's bad.
Simply put. It's terrifying. I think like any one of us probably would rather see the opposite, like the pendulum swing the other way and have bills and legislation put in place to protect us, sure. But it's that, and it's also like in ways I see on like media streams that I watch, like the glorification of these bills as well. And just, I mean, it's the perfect segue of it's endangering us as humans, like quite literally. I bring up like the idea of like passing because I then feel like if I want to step out into the world, I'm passing not for any other reason at this point, but for safety and to stay protected and like go undercover. And that's terrifying. I think what's even more sad is that anyone who's growing up and going through probably the hardest thing in their life to figure out who they are and like determine like what they're going through and feeling inside doesn't have the space to do that.
I think that's absolutely right. I don't know, the idea of, I mean, from the other side is like, I'm 6'4", I'm never gonna be a fully passable, whatever that, you know, that means. And it is a safety thing for so many people. And I think it does create these bills create real danger, and not just danger in the fact that like parents can be arrested for supporting their children, kids getting access to healthcare. Now a lot of these laws are also targeting adult healthcare by making it, you know, insurance can't cover it in that state, or creating malpractice loopholes to discourage doctors from giving trans care, drag bans that include trans people existing. You know, these things, I split time between Los Angeles and New Orleans, and I have to drive between those places because I have a dog that's too big to fly. That means I have to spend 15 hours in a car in Texas by myself. Mm-hmm. Like, that drive, just trying to go to the bathroom on that drive is not swearing, is a really difficult journey and a really scary journey. And these laws, I mean, we are being scapegoated, we are being used as a wedge issue. And the truth is, like, trans people we just want to live, we just want our rights. Like, Trans Day of Visibility is great. It's great to have a day where people talk about us, but visibility isn't our problem. Like, we're hyper visible right now. We need like Trans Day of like leave us alone. Trans Day of like let us live our lives happily.
Yeah.
Trans Day of like happily going on a date with somebody we like and like nobody bothers us at the restaurant. Like, that would be great.
Yeah.
Well, I think that all these bills and stuff, all of it is always leading with hate and just negativity. The way to like just do anything good in life is to lead with kindness and love. And that's just everything that you could ever say, that is the source of it. How to live your life and lead with kindness and like love to someone. So just all these bills are this energy, like no. You know what, like pushing against something, being oppressive, suppressive, negative. And it's just like, just be nice, just be loving, be kind. Like, is that so hard? Like, you know, even if like it's something that you don't agree with, like there's no need to be like negative and like trying to like put it down and whatever. You know, just be sweet.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
I think it's also like take the time as an ally, particularly, like take the time to get to know the person behind the label or behind the classification as a transgender person. Take the time to get to know that person's personality, that person's soul, because once you start to do that and find common ground with the person, that's where you're gonna get to like the love and like the compassion for a person.
Yeah, I think cis people also need to be the ones defending us. Like, I think that it's not, on some level, our existence is politicized, but like you need to, when you see injustice in the world that doesn't affect you, it's your job to stand up and stand against it. Like, that's it. If it's just us standing up, then like I don't know, we're easy to shout down because there aren't that many of us, like, in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
And especially, like, to be othered so easily.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, I think, you know, when you see people saying messed up things about trans people, like, maybe push back on that a little bit. Maybe don't
Yeah.
just say, like, oh, that's, you know, like, really, I don't know, fight against it.
I don't know where the expression, like, if you see something, say something originally comes from, but quite literally it's that. Like, if you see, like, injustice happening against a trans
Yeah.
person, speak up on our behalf.
Yeah.
Like with the best answers. Like she's had the best answers so far.
No, go, take it, Sadie, go
Everybody,
on.
sorry.
Thank you, though. Take it. No?
I mean, I'm just like not very versed in like insurance and medical stuff, so I can't really say.
Okay.
I just feel like my experience that I've experienced for myself has been pretty positive. I'm grateful that we do have insurance that can cover these things. I mean, I guess if more doctors were available to do to take insurance, yeah, but I mean, for me, it's been great. I don't know other people's experiences.
Yeah, I mean, I think that a big part of it is insurance needs to treat trans healthcare like it's healthcare and not like it's cosmetic surgery. Like, these are gender affirming care it often looks like cosmetic surgery, and I think as a result, you have people push back against it being covered for things because they're like, well, what? Oh, trans women get their breasts covered? Do I get a boob job? And it's like, you know,
No.
it's like, it's different.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's a different thing. It's,
Yeah.
this is coverage for a large set of diagnoses that we are, you know, getting treatment for, and that includes hormones, and that includes surgeries, and I don't know, it makes a huge difference to have trans care treated like healthcare.
I know also I got really frustrated with like the medical insurance people that I spoke with, and I felt like there's a lack of education on the like insurance carriers part.
Totally.
I would like having now like used insurance for my gender confirmation surgery and like my breast, only 2, and it felt like it was just such an arduous process.
Yes.
Trying to find somebody who they're on like United Healthcare's payroll, but they can't speak to anything as to like what steps I'm supposed to be taking to get authorized for my surgery. That was painstaking.
They should make it easier.
Yeah, it was
The whole process.
That's literally why I just kind of, me personally, I skipped it because it was so, it's like a big runaround, honestly. It's
Oh, the
very,
insurance.
yeah, it's very like, nobody knows who to send you to, nobody
Right.
knows.
Okay,
Yeah,
yes.
it's like,
Yeah.
it's a big thing. So they should have more knowledgeable people. They should have actually a trans department, a certain
Ooh,
department
I like
deal with
that.
because it's very common. So, yeah.
Absolutely. I think it is. Education's such a huge part of it because they do give you the runaround. They
Yeah.
and it's like an insurance problem in a whole bunch of fields. And so certainly I think trans is just one of them, but it does feel like they want you to give up. They want you to be like,
It
this
does.
is
You don't
too
wanna pay for my
confusing.
I'm
So-
gonna send you
That's
over
what you
here.
do.
Transfer
yeah,
here.
it's like
That's your time.
Kafka-esque journey, and then they're like, "Oh, did you get bored and tired and like confused, and now you don't want to?" Oh, I guess sorry. Like,
No, I still want the
yeah,
breast.
yeah, exactly.
I honestly thought that too. I was like, are you guys trying trying not to pay for my stuff?
Yeah,
Like, no, I'm gonna make sure and do it just,
yeah,
like,
and we. Sorry, go on. I didn't mean-
no.
No, but like we had like our insurance. I'm part of the Writers Guild of America, and we had fought to get our insurance coverage to cover trans surgeries, and that was like a big fight. That was many years of like lobbying and talking to health board of trustees and like all this crazy stuff. And then once you use it, it gets covered, and you're like, yes, like we have this. And then you go to use it, and it's like, oh, you're just beginning the journey of trying to track down getting this paid for. It really is kind of a never-ending thing.
Yeah, because it feels like there's a bunch of loopholes too.
Yeah.
Even still after like I had my procedure done, I felt like there were things I didn't realize that I had like signed away to, and maybe that's like user error or like operator error. I should have like read the fine print, but I feel like I did my due diligence, and it just again feels like that runaround.
Yeah. They want you to not read it.
I think definitely like the internet. There's a lot of information on the internet. Whatever you want to find out, like just type in whatever it is you're trying to, like, you're thinking of, and then put trans something at the end of it. I don't know. And I always do that when I'm looking for, like, an issue and I'm, like, trying to resolve it. I'll type in whatever and put Oprah at the end of it. So, like, because she always has, like, the best information of whatever. And
What a hack! I love that.
The Oprah hack.
so, like, yeah, just use the internet as, like, a tool. And I think that, you know, also reaching out to other, like, to trans people or, like, an LGBT center, I think would be a really helpful tool to, like, learn and support us and stuff. And just be nice. Remember to be nice.
I can't rattle off any particular resources, but if you're someone that's like questioning things about yourself or trying to navigate the world, I highly recommend finding a therapist who is specialized in gender studies and transgender studies to be able to really help you. My first therapist ever was a transgender male as well, and just the rapport that was able to be built there and shared experiences helped me like discover those nuances of like that Halloween costume. So I think like therapy is a huge way to like help yourself as well.
Absolutely. Therapy is such a huge piece of it. I think if you're looking for resources, certainly the LGBT Center in whatever city you're in will be a great local resource. If you're questioning your gender, I would just... Something that was very helpful to me was a therapist finally telling me that like cis people don't sit around all day wondering if they're trans. So if you're sitting around being worried that you're trans, there's something to explore there. And I think you owe it to yourself to find a therapist and to try to explore it. It's not, don't die wondering. Like, it's never too late, but it's also never too early to start asking the big questions and finding support. Because the truth is, if you look for it, if you go out, you will find support. There's wonderful communities everywhere. Like you said, like you find your families in these places, and like wherever that is, like I have friends that live in every part of this country, whether it's the Deep South, whether it's the Midwest, there are trans communities in all of these places, and like they're waiting for you to find them if you want to. So.
And therapy is generally covered under medical insurance, I feel like.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is usually covered.
But if not, the LGBT
But
Center.
also, LGBT Center will usually have some kind of therapy or sliding scale or you know groups. Like it's very, If you've ever been at a place, a work event, something where someone accidentally calls you the wrong name, they think they know you. Your name is Sarah, and they're like, Samantha, it's so good to see you. Like how awkward that feels. It's like that, only if also your entire identity is kind of about it. Like, it's not asking so much to have people just respect who you are.
Yeah.
When you introduce yourself to somebody, the least they can do is hear who you are. And I mean, it's truly like, it is rude in any other circumstance to not call somebody what they ask you to call them.
Yeah.
Why would it be different for us? And I think people sometimes get into these headspaces about, well, that's not, I don't want to, and I shouldn't have to. I don't know why it matters to anybody. It's the smallest, littlest thing, but it is truly very painful and feels like such a rejection of your whole self if somebody, my rule is like repeated like if somebody slips once or twice, that's like, it's annoying and I hate it, but if someone's constantly like, I'm like, don't be a jerk.
I mean, that's literally something to do with their own self, though.
Totally.
Like, it's like, just again, going back to like being kind, like leading with love. Like somebody who's like, say that they just don't believe in that, they'll move around it by not saying it. But it's like, you know what I mean? Like, you're a negative girl. Like, if you want...
And, like, how hard...
Yeah.
Like, what's it going to do
it's
to you?
a word. Yeah, it's really not the end of the
people,
world. And...
I feel like a lot of people with pronouns tell someone... Like, I heard someone say one time, you know, like, if someone get married and you have to call them Mrs. or Mrs.
Yes.
It's literally the same thing.
Oh, that's such a good point.
Like,
'cause
you
it's a
literally have to
change.
adjust. Like, so... A lot of people make pronouns such a big thing, and it's like such an inconvenience for them when it's like...
It's not.
It's literally like...
You're using them all the time anyway. Like,
Yeah.
we're always,
Just
you
do
know.
it.
Yeah.
I think it's important to like, for any reason, if you're unsure, I mean, how do we feel about like, if you were asked,
Yeah.
like, what pronouns would you like? Yeah, what's your pronouns?
I feel like a couple people do ask that, like to be like, kind of like, shady. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shady?
Most
It can-
definitely,
I feel
most
like you can
definitely.
tell too, like
can
if
tell.
it's coming from shade or if it's.
If it's shady.
Like, I'm like an old
100%.
lady and she's really sweet. I'll be like, it's okay. Like,
Grandma.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's real. I think you can tell people's tone. I think if someone respectfully were like, "Oh, I just want to like make sure I'm using like are you?" I mean, for me, it's always frustrating because it's like, and this is this is like inside the trans community conflict because like there are certain trans people who are like, of course you should always ask pronouns.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times trans women.
They feel like you should automatically go with she.
Yeah,
So
that's.
it does be conflict because some feel like you should ask everyone what their pronouns.
Yeah, because I definitely sometimes feel like I'm giving girl, like I'm wearing a full face of makeup, I'm wearing a short skirt, like
why do
you
you
see what I'm
ask?
going
Yeah.
you see what I'm going for. Like you know I'm trans, obviously
Yeah.
that's why you're asking, but like you see what I'm aiming at. But like yeah, I don't as long as someone's asking respectfully, I
Yeah.
think that's like
Yeah.
a totally fine thing to do. And I think if you misgender someone, it's truly like just roll with it. Just if you
Just
misgender
apologize,
someone,
yeah.
apologize
Yeah.
and move on. Don't like beat
Hard.
yourself up hugely. Don't make a big scene about it. Just like own it, move on. Like
Yeah.
don't
I do think it's important and cute to take accountability for it. Like,
totally.
to not just glaze past it
Absolutely.
and take like say the sorry real quick and keep it pushing.
Yeah, I think being like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. Like I just acknowledge it. I think that's so true.
Yeah.
The accountability is such a nice piece of it.
I think it's a sign of like respect to us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me personally, I would say inspiring the younger trans generation. So many people literally message me and hit me up like, "Oh, you inspired me." I just feel like it's a bigger picture. That's that.
That is a
That's
really
real.
good aspect of it. I think just living, I feel like we've been able to like really be awoken to a different, just seeing society in a different way. And for me at least, I'm like, it really opened me up to like realize that everything's just made up in the world.
Mhm.
Like we're just playing a big make-believe game. Like we're animals that got to this point. Yeah, like, and it's like just, I guess like the Matrix or whatever. Like the estradiol is like the
The blue
The
pill.
blue pill, literally, yeah.
and, yeah, I just feel like I've really been able to just see the world, just not have myself tied up in the world and be like, oh my god, like it really isn't, you know, life is just something to enjoy, and I think for myself it's opened my eyes to that.
Yeah.
So
I really love this question because, like, for me, it's the authenticity and resiliency I've developed, and I feel like other trans individuals that I know have developed. Kind of like what you said about, I think, recalling a moment with your therapist. Cis people don't sit around like questioning like if they're trans. And overwhelmingly, like as trans people, we question so many things about ourselves, and I think like we're on this ever long journey of getting to know ourselves better, and that's like how we got here, right? We've done more introspection than I think the average person, and I mean that's not scientific data, but I feel that way, and I feel like we wouldn't be here and like this authentic in ourselves if like that weren't the case. So I think just like the journey that we're on to authenticity.
Yeah, I agree. I think the confidence that comes also from it would
Yeah.
be easier not to be.
Mhm.
Like the world is stacked against us in so many ways, and there is so much hate, and there is so much like so many obstacles. And I think the fact that through all of that, there's like never a doubt in my mind that like this is who I am. This is like that confidence in yourself, that like feeling of like, oh, I'm like, this is the place, this is the time, this is who I am. Like that level of like self-assuredness is something that like I didn't know before, for obvious reasons. I didn't know before I transitioned. I didn't feel that
Yeah.
because I was not living authentically. I wasn't, you know, and now to feel that, to feel so confident in your place in the world feels, I don't know, it feels really special and really exciting. And I also think like the community aspect is like being surrounded by other wonderful, impressive inspiring trans women. Being here, I mean, around among y'all is like, it's just so, I don't know. There's something there. It feels like, I don't know. It feels very exciting for the future and very like special, and I don't know. Yeah.
It's good to be trans.
It is.
Personally, I feel like a lot of the young generation, take your time. It's not a race. It's a journey. I feel like a lot of people are just seeing like the glitz and the glam of it and just rushing into it. And it's really a journey. Like, really make sure that this is what you want. This is, like, take your time. It's no rush, literally.
It's literally what I would have said.
Me
so,
too.
Spot on.
I feel
Take
like
your
that
time.
really encompasses a lot. Just know that you're loved and that whatever you want in life, literally whatever you want in life, like, it is 100% achievable. If you want to be the president of America, like, it's 100% achievable. Just write down whatever it is that you want in like a goal or like a vision board, and just have that belief. Even if, because I always think about the people that I know and that my life, which we all live in LA, so it's pretty easy. But I'm like thinking of like kids who are like, I mean, I'm not from America, so I don't know what, like where Kentucky is and stuff, but like, what is going
I've never been to Kentucky either, girl.
but like places like that, and it's like they're just so isolated. They're not even in an environment.
Yeah.
Like,
Where it's like-
yeah, like not even like in a city where anybody's that way. And I just want you to know that it will get better and that you can have whatever you want. Just believe in yourself and don't give up.
Yeah, I'm from Ohio, so not far from Kentucky, and I was that kid that was in the kind of middle of nowhere, and you can still live whatever life you want to live. And I would encourage any young folks that are questioning their gender to allow themselves to explore it and to not feel shame about exploring it, and to, really let yourself get help, let yourself get therapy, let yourself find who you are, and whoever that is okay. And if it doesn't feel like it's okay now wherever you are, it will get better when you get older. It will get better when you're in a safer place. But just allow yourself to go there, at least in your head, because it's really important to, I don't know, let yourself imagine a world where you're happy and openly who you are, because that world can exist.
Mm-hmm.